Well, y'all, I don't even know how I got here. Okay. Well, how did we get here? Yeah. Fourth Wing. Yeah, that one. Reddit. I had a whole crash out on TikTok about it. And I liked it way too much. The smut was really good. Do I like Xaden now? Oh no, not the Shadow Daddy, no! If you want to follow me, I'll put the information up on the screen. Wow, did it take me on a journey I did not expect? So y'all know I am the ultimate enemies to lovers and Shadow Daddy hater. I'm so over the Shadow Daddies, the alpha males. I'm so done with it. Okay, I don't like enemies to lovers very much. Some exceptions, okay. Also don't like Shadow Daddies. My most viewed YouTube video. Okay, my most viewed YouTube video is talking about how much I'm tired of Shadow Daddies. So it feels kind of hypocritical that I even read this book. In protest, I shouldn't have read it. Just out of sheer curiosity, because this is like, I don't know, one of the like best-selling books right now. I did ACOTAR, okay? I felt like, you know, I feel like just as a rite of passage as a book girly, I need to read Fourth Wing, at least just see what the hype is about. I'm gonna hate it. That's what I kept saying, like even in my TikToks, I was like, yeah, I'm going to hate this. I just knew everything about it was an antithesis of stuff I like, okay? But did I hate it like I hated ACOTAR? Also, no. Oh, I can't believe I'm admitting that. No. Shadow Daddy wasn't particularly why I didn't hate it. And to be honest, it's kind of hard for me to articulate why I didn't. Like, I should have outright hated it. But it was so freaking confusing. But regardless of my confusion as to why I didn't hate it, I thought about today I would break down all the things about it I liked, didn't like, just give a little rant review of Fourth Wing since I just finished it. Let's go. Little disclaimer, just like I did for my ACOTAR video. Unfortunately, Yarros has been in quite a bit of controversy herself around, number one, Zionism allegations. Now, granted, unlike SJM, she actually has addressed this, like she put up public posts about it. I do appreciate that at least she has the care to say something and try to defend herself. You can go on her Instagram and look that up. I don't really care to include it here. It's just more so of letting you know before you watch this video and may decide to go read the book and support her response. I don't really know exactly how to feel about Rebecca. I felt pretty confident about SJM and being like, yeah, just I'm really sure she's a great person. The population she's apologizing to isn't mine, and it's not up to me necessarily to accept any type of apology or explanation from her about this issue. So I don't know, take that how you will. Book opens up with introducing our Nepo baby, okay, Violet. So Violet's mom is like the general in this like army. This is a whole book set around this like war college, and Violet's mom's like the leader of it. Violet thinks her entire life basically that she's destined to be a scribe because she's kind of like the nerdy bookish one or whatever. But her mom is like this high up in the Dragon Riders, super intense, badass warrior type. Like she reminded me of that lady from Wreck-It Ralph. I'll put up a picture from her, but that's exactly how I envisioned her mom and her sister. Like they both just led this to me. Her sister also followed in her mom's footsteps, became a writer, but Violet's the small, nerdy, bookish one, you know, and she's not supposed to be a writer. It opens up with her finding out that, yeah, she actually does have to become a writer. Her mom's forcing her because it's like a shame on their family name for her not to be a writer. They don't care that she's probably going to die because she has a bone, like, disease. And her mom's just like, yeah, peace out. Sorry. This is just what it is. Her sister, Mira, who is a really successful writer, a lot like her mom, is arguing with her mom, you know, about like, hey, like, your daughter's going to die. Do you not care that like, she's not meant for this? You know, the mom literally says, Violet deals with more pain before lunch than you do in an entire week. And if any of my children is capable of surviving the writer's quadrant, it's her. When I first heard that, I'm like, okay, was that like a semi-compliment? But I know, but also a mother just like willingly being okay with just like letting her daughter die. It's just a little bizarre to me. And mind you, her mom's characters literally never developed in this entire first book. Her mom's just an evil mom. Like, that's it. That's giving very Disney-esque, you know, which I don't hate necessarily, but it would have been maybe cool to have some more like, why is the mom this way? Like, I was just curious why her mom's just so horrible. But yeah, Never explained. So the sister can't talk her mom into changing her mind with some things, gives her some tips on her way before she sets off to go to the writer's quadrant and probably die. At the very end, she says, oh, and stay away. Whatever you do, stay away from Xaden Ryerson. Very dramatic, very movie-esque. Says, air rushes out of my lungs at his name. Literally just his name. Okay, like, she hadn't even looked at him yet. Just the name had the air rushing out of her lungs. Let me tell you, this is just the precipice for what will become, like, her constant lusting over Xaden. She's so down bad for him from the very beginning, okay? Sees him, of course, he's the big boy, you know, huge, like, almost 7-foot male, dark hair, dark skin, ripped from head to toe, you know, like the most stereotypical big boy, small girl situation. The most stereotypical. Though she was not thrilled by any means, she kind of went between two different attitudes. One being this like, oh, rub some dirt in it, grit, like I'm just gonna deal with it and bear through. Or two, just kind of being a little goofy and fun and trying to make the best out of a shitty situation. Like she kind of had this little bit of like a goofy vibe to her, kind of made her different than like Fiera. Because Fiera was just insufferable, annoying, whiny, bitchy, like just all the horrible things you could think of. I hated Fiera so much. Violet, yes, while still insufferable in a lot of ways, the way her attitude was about the situation she was put in was just, I don't know, it was better. It felt more approachable for me. It felt like somebody I could root for a little more. It took a lot more for me to hate her. You know, like I didn't hate her so quickly like I hated Fiera. So you'll know in my ACOTAR video, I talked about how the skinny Ganda with Fiera really annoyed me. And a lot of people told me that with Fourth Wing, you know, her being the frail, disabled character, you know, that same thing might bother me. I'll be honest, I didn't quite pick up on as badly. Yes, do they make that a thing? Yes. I think ACOTAR was worse though. I really do. And also I think this book very much focused more so on just her strength and like the literal strength of her muscles and bones and her having this disability. I do think that was more the focus, more so just, oh, my body is so small all the time. It's like, yes, her being frail and little was mentioned, but mostly just her not having the physical strength to do stuff, which I think was just different than how it was portrayed in ACOTAR. So when you look up critiques and stuff of this book online, you see a lot of people being really mad that Violet's horny. You know, like, oh, she's just horny all the time. Ugh, disgusting, you know. And I'm going to take up for my girl Violet a little bit, okay? This part, surprisingly enough, I know this isn't popular on the internet, I actually loved it. I love that part about her because I love to see, I found it very refreshing, okay, to see a popular, you know, romantasy character, main female character, be unabashedly sexual. It was nice. She was unabashedly sexual about what her wants and needs were, and she wasn't fucking ashamed of them either. Even though they were supposed to be enemies, and she wasn't really supposed to like him. You know, she kind of acknowledged that, but like at the same time, she acknowledged these feelings that she had were very real for her. And I don't know, I just loved how open and honest, how sexuality and stuff was very open there. Like not even just within herself, but with other people there too. Like they were socially accepted. It was just something that happened and people were open to it. There was no like weird shame around sex with who or how many people would people have sex with. Like it was just very open with this sexuality stuff. And I quite enjoyed that. And honestly, I just kind of like to see how Violet was just very honest about her feelings. And she was the opposite of demure. Okay. And I feel like some people just don't like to see women who are not demure about their sexuality. And I liked that she wasn't demure. Like, I kind of thought it was funny. It'll just take me out how, like, she'd be talking about someone dying. Oh, this person just died today. Oh, but Xaden, he looks so freaking hot. You know, she would just completely forget that someone just, like, literally fell off a parapet. But, like, I don't know. I didn't hate that. If anything, I thought it was kind of funny. Like, it sort of took me out a little bit, made me giggle. And I didn't really mind. And I think some of the critiques around that is low-key a little misogynistic and people who just don't like to see women be horny. There's something satisfying to me about seeing a woman just like get everything her heart desires. So even though it was refreshing in a lot of ways to see Violet get all of her heart's desires, and I liked how getting her desires and wants in the world was shown in the book, at the same time, that also was a downfall, okay? Because the plot armor it took to get to some of her wants and desires was literally nuts. The plot armor was insane in this book. And it was definitely one of my biggest critiques as far as like just the overall writing and the plot of the book was without plot armor, like just none of this would, it just, nothing would have made any sense, particularly revolving around Violet's like survival in this war college. Like the amount of times that she just purely had plot armor, like if it was not for the fact that she just needed to live, obviously for the story to continue, like how she got around living in the situations where so many people around her died all the time was just extreme conveniences, luck, plot armor. I mean, that's what it was. She gets there and she has to start doing these sparring like lessons and stuff where they'll just let you kill each other. Like killing and death is just so normal in this whole environment. There's no reason why she shouldn't have been maybe the first one people went after, considering that her stature and stuff was apparently so small and she's considered so visibly weak. She ends up poisoning people. That's like her method to get out of it. And she just poisons people over and over again. And conveniently, every person who has to fight her gets sick right before they have to fight her. And like nobody picked up on that except for Xaden. I don't know. That just seemed like a little bit like, all right. And then finally, I was thinking, surely she can't get away with this forever. Someone else has to fight her and she actually has to fight them. But guess who it is? Conveniently. It's Xaden, who at this point is also lusting after her clearly and isn't going to actually like hurt her. So she never really even has to genuinely fight anyone who could really hurt her until much later in the book where she's already developed a lot more strength and power. I don't know. I just didn't really think she really got any real and genuine challenging. I really didn't. Even though it might look like she would, a lot of it was her cheating or skipping by just to survive. And it just felt like a lot of plot armor justify this whole setup here, because it really makes no sense why someone with a bone degenerative disease, from what I can understand, would survive in this type of environment. It just makes no sense. You have to also make up nonsensical things for her to be able to live through it. And speaking of the disability, let's talk about the disability rep in this book. Another thing about it that really aggravated me. Violet has this very unnamed and very vague disability in the book. It is kind of, I would say, somewhat obvious that they're somewhat alluding that she has some sort of like bone issue, but it's very weirdly vague. Like, and I don't understand why Rebecca Yarros had to do that. Like, you could have just named it. And that's my biggest problem with it, to be honest, is I just don't really know exactly how I feel. I could see multiple sides, and I'm definitely not some type of authority on like what is good disability rep or not. Like, I know that. But in my opinion, just on a personal level, I just don't really get how it's never named. She's not ever really talking about how it's affecting her day-to-day life besides, oh, I just hurt a lot. Well, okay. Is there anything else? Like, it just doesn't touch on anything about how it affects her like daily living very much besides her just hurting. And again, because we don't pick up until she's basically almost at this war college, we don't really know, like, is her soreness because she's doing all this strenuous physical activity in the war college, or is it because of the disability? But then, like, it's never explicitly named or explained. You wonder, like, is there sensitivity readers for this book? Because one of my favorite books ever, okay, let me get it. And this is a merman monster romance, but both of the characters are disabled. And I could just go on and on about this book all day. It is literally my favorite book of all time. I love it, at least in the romance genre. Okay, my favorite ever. In this, she talked about at the beginning that she had sensitivity readers read it, and they really helped her kind of craft a really well thought out, like in every aspect of these characters' lives, their disability, it comes up somehow. Like, it affects something they do. Like, it's like these little things throughout, and I love that. Like, it was just so well done. And the way that this was done was like, she just wanted to say there was a disability, but like, that's it. She just kind of wanted to imply lightly there's a disability, but like, that's it. And I don't really know why she chose to do it that way. But then when she gets on a panel and she's asked about it, she wants to be able to brag that the disability rep in it without really, I feel like, doing any of the work to really represent it correctly. It just feels like a weird cop-out, because I've read a book that has such good rep in it. A great example of this is how, you know, she'll talk about how her bones are sore, how certain things limit her, like in sparring or in various physical things that are happening on the war college, right? But then in sex scenes, whenever Xaden's like throwing her on a desk, throwing her against a dresser, just like ramming into her on the wood floor, it like doesn't come up.
only non-negotiable is that Xaden isn't white.
Yeah, so I hated that. I don't know if you guys have been seeing the Fourth Wing content these past couple weeks. God.
You would think if you had like a bone brittling disease, that like maybe when a 7-foot bripped male is like just slamming into you on a hard floor, that like may be relevant. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like that might come up. And this is what this book done so well. There's obviously sex scenes in this book, and like our MMC doesn't have an arm. Like he's missing an arm. And it literally talks about like during the sex scenes, like he has to like move himself certain ways, or he can't really like lean over her like normally maybe you would if you were having like missionary sex or whatever. So like he has to use certain things. I won't go into grand detail. Okay, but he has to like use certain things to be able to perform certain actions. And also she is hard of hearing, so then being able to communicate with each other while things are happening. Like it's so well thought out in like everything they do, because it does affect, like if you're a disabled person, typically, especially with someone like Deos who has that physical disability, you know, when you're doing this physical act, I mean, sex is a physical act. It's probably going to come up. And it's like, why would that not be relevant in that situation? It was just weird. And that's just one example. Okay. But like, there's so many examples where that's just so not like, it's like, okay, it's just inconsistent. Aware that the author, apparently, if I'm understanding correctly, does have this disease that she inspired, you know, this character off of. And I mean, I guess I can't really tell her, you know, how she should feel. She should express, you know, her disability, or if that's something she wants to write about, oh, that's fine. I just kind of fail to understand why, if you were a person with this disease, you wouldn't want to kind of enrapture it into all parts of your characters, not just like, oh, you're so weak and you're just going to grit through it. Like it was just very much like, oh, just grit through it and bear it mentality. Oh, she's just going to work through it, work through the pain, you know? And it's like, I guess if that helps you, but I just don't really feel like that's very good representation. Consider this book to be positive disability rap. Like, first of all, she barely even wants to admit it's a disability, really, which I just found odd to begin with. I feel like it should have been named. At the very least, I would have respected it more if it was at least named. Honestly, what I really think is it was just a way for Rebecca Yarros just check a diversity box. While we're talking about checking diversity boxes with Rebecca Yarros, let's talk about Xaden. So while I was doing my research on this video, I come across a panel with her where someone asked her about Xaden and his casting, because apparently this is going to be like a TV series. And someone asked her about Xaden's casting. And apparently she's done this like multiple times. It is not just once. Like she has said this over and over again, and she's doubled down on it, that Xaden is not white.
Only non-negotiable is that Xaden isn't white.
Okay, and she makes this big deal about Xaden not being white. And I did touch on this in my Shadow Daddy video, if you want to watch it, but I didn't really elaborate because it wasn't the point of that one particularly. But I'm going to elaborate a little here because I think it's relevant. I do not like how she talked about that. I think that's really weird, actually. That of all the characters, you know, in this book, really race was just never really brought up in this book very much. It just wasn't really relevant. Just her making such a thing out of him not being white, I feel like automatically makes it weird. But what makes it even weirder is that of all the characters, you know, because there's lots of characters in this book, the one that just is insistent on not being white, you know, you're going to make a point out of not being white, is the hyper masculine, like almost 7 foot tall Shadow Daddy. Let's just go down a rabbit hole of all the ways that's super problematic. I don't like that at all. I'm not saying Xaden couldn't have been a non-white character. Like, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. What I have a problem with is that the fact she's insistent on that, even though she done literally zero work at all to establish him as anything else beyond a white character, in my opinion. I would have absolutely thought that Xaden was a white character, because Violet is definitely a white character. So it's like Xaden wasn't really described any particular way. There was nothing about him that seemed to really get into the complexities of being a person of color, and like it again felt like a cop-out. Okay, is it just convenient for you to describe him in the most racially ambiguous way ever? The reason why people are saying this is because he's described with tawny brown skin. But if you look up what tawny means, it just means like golden. Okay, golden brown. I mean, that could be tan. I mean, it's very vague. You know what I mean? Like, I guess that could mean POC. And I guess that's what in her mind she described. Why didn't you explicitly make him POC then? You know, like, are you against that for some reason? But yet when it comes up on a panel, you want to brag about how you have POC characters. I just commit. It's like Rebecca Yarros cannot commit in this book. And it's a consistent theme. And I don't know, that just rubbed me really wrong. But to continue on with Xaden, he's just the most chronic shadow daddy there is. Like every shadow daddy stereotype, he is literally just the pinnacle of shadow daddies. Okay, he's at the tip top. All right. Dark, mysterious, broody, but he's also got this backstory that makes him really likable. That's basically Xaden's whole character arc. I kind of was surprised that Xaden was way less present than like I anticipated. I anticipated him to be way more in the book than he really was, to be honest. Because again, we have another book where basically everything is from the FMC's point of view. But because we're always stuck in her head, I just don't feel like we got a lot of character development from Xaden besides him just being the hot shadow daddy. Like that was kind of his entire purpose. I will say, even though shadow daddies annoy me and all those things I just said, I do think once I got to chapter 30, which by the way is the smutty part, okay, that's the smutty chapter where it all begins, I did start to like him more. I'm just gonna be honest, the smut kind of converted me. Shook. Yeah, I really enjoyed the smut. Chapter 30 was really good, and even though I don't like shadow daddies, I enjoyed the smut chapter. I did. And when it started getting to the nitty gritty with the whole dragon mate thing, that I enjoyed. Yeah, that I enjoyed. Okay. Once I got to that, I was like, this should have been the whole book. Like, you don't get into that until like 400 pages when you see that there's the whole dragon mating bond stuff. And it's like, oh, if this just would have been there from the beginning, that would have been phenomenal, okay? Because I did like those parts, like, quite a lot. And here's the thing about the mating trope. So to me, this book did commit one of my mortal bookish sins, okay? It is just like a sin in my book. I hate this so much. It did commit the sin of putting a mating trope, like, in the middle, almost, of a book. I hate that so much. ACOTAR done that too. Okay, so I don't know what it is with romantasy books and just wanting to throw a mating bond in the middle, because basically what she did was she threw a mating bond in the middle with the dragons being mates and all that to essentially just make up for the absolute lack of any true relationship development between Xaden and Violet. That's what it's there for. It's a cop-out. Again, Rebecca, the queen of cop-outs. You know, so she used the mating trope, something I love. I love the mating trope, okay? But she used that as like a cop-out for any like true development, and basically just go from like we're kind of enemies sort of, but we just have a lot of miscommunication, to like, oh, we're just fucking all the time now. So the finding out their mates and the dragon stuff was cool as fuck. That's what I'm saying. If they would have just not done this whole first part, okay, and just started with them being mates, like, here's what would have made me love this book. I think what it took me from like, I kind of hate it, but there was parts I liked, to like, oh, this would have made me really like the book, was if they just skipped the entire first half. just cut it. Cut the whole first half. Start with maybe like a brief synopsis of her making it through the whole threshing and all of that. She got the dragon. She finds out that she's in this mating bond because of her dragons and Xaden's dragon. And they have to actually work through their whole mating bond situation, even though they're mortal enemies because of their parents. And that could have been the conflict. I would have ate that up, because you know what that's like? What's that? That's Ice Planet Barbarians. The mating bond kind of is the conflict, you know, because they're supposed to hate each other, but they kind of have this like cosmic thing pulling them together that like makes them horny, and they're just gonna have to deal with it. I would have ate that up if that was the entire thing. And it touched on parts of that once you got to that point in the book. And that did kind of make me gag. I was like, oh, okay, this reminds me of Ice Planet Barbarians. Like the lustiness that's like you can't control and all of that. Like, oh, I love that. But it was annoying that that wasn't more present. Like, I could have used that through the whole book. So a character that I've yet to talk about in this video, because I want to save him for last, because wow, did I have a whole journey with him. Okay, so another mortal bookish sin that this book committed is Dain's character destruction. So let's talk about Dain's character destruction. So Dain started off strong for me. I'm gonna be honest. I even made a TikTok talking about how, and I still basically hold by this, but with some caveats. I literally said, like, oh, if this was me, okay, and Dain would have just chivalrously, like, oh, pick me up, hit or whatever. He took me to his room, and there was so much sexual tension and stuff. And, like, oh, yeah, I would have been on my knees for him immediately. And here's the thing. I'm such a friends to lovers girly. Like, that's really what I am. I love friends to lovers. I love insta love shit. Okay, this enemies to lovers shit is not for me. And yeah, did Dain just progressively get worse and worse? Yes. Toward the end, he commits something really horrible. And it didn't really elaborate, though, much. Like, you don't get to hear Dain's point of view, at least up until the end of book 1. So I wonder how that's going to kind of come to play in book 2. Like, will it not be exactly what it seems like? The big betrayal that he did at the end of book 1? I don't know. I'd have to read the second one to figure that out. We'll see if I read the second one. Case of, while yes, Dain did a lot of annoying shit, mostly I feel like he had good intentions through a lot of it, and really it was just character assassination, which I hate in books, which is what SJM does too. Yeah, like what I talked about in my ACOTAR video about SJM just intentionally making Tamlin horrible, just assassinating his character, all to uplift Rhysand. That is literally exactly what happened in this. They basically made Dain somewhat likable at the beginning, questionably likable at the middle, made him do something horrible at the end. They put the nail in the coffin. You know, that Xaden is the superior one. Xaden's the one we all like. You know, like she was really selling the Xaden. And I don't know, it just makes me want to take up for those characters who were a victim of character assassination by their authors. Because, like, I could have seen more complexity with Dain. Like, I just feel like he had more of a storyline to go. Like, I don't know, I just felt a little bad that he was such a victim of character assassination, because I just love friends to lovers, and they were childhood friends. Like, he was the boy next door. He was the one that made sense. Like, you know, like, he was basically, I'm just going to make more Twilight comparisons. He was Jacob. That's what he was. He was Jacob. He was like the practical one that made sense and who had good intentions, but sometimes would still hurt her, not really meaning to, you know? And that's basically what this character was. And really, the reason why I waited to the end to include him was because I mostly just found his existence to be annoying, which I get was Rebecca Yarros' point. Like, that's what he's there for. He's there to annoy you and give you some other male adjacent to Xaden, like SJM has, literally identical to SJM, to make Xaden look really good. And I hate that. Like, apparently, according to my TikTok followers, Dain does have a redemption arc later in the books, which it makes me happy to hear. You know, that makes me forgive her a little more. It's like, okay, well, maybe later, you know, we'll have some redemption for him. But the character destruction, I don't know. It was very annoying. I don't hate Dain as much as the rest of the fandom does, okay? I don't know. I feel like my inner friends to lovers girly heart just has to sort of do something to root for him, even though, yes, do I understand why he was annoying and terrible in a lot of ways? Yes, but also it was just character assassination. Like, she really didn't have to do that. Like, I just didn't, I don't know. It was like semi trying to create a love triangle, but then kind of not. Again, just not really committing to the bit. Like, even Twilight done better with just committing to the love triangle. Like, if you're just going to do the love triangle, committing to it. This sort of wanted to start that, but then instead of actually trying to develop any real love triangle and the conflict that comes along with the love triangle, she just copped out of it and just made Dain do something horrible at the end. That's my feelings on Dain. I mean, I know in all practicality, like, in a world, if this was me, I would have chose Dain. Absolutely. Because I hate shadow daddies, and also I love attention. Like, he basically gets shat on. Like, he gets shat on for, like, wanting to princess, you know, Violet, like, treat her like a princess and not make her do anything and all that. And see, that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I want. Okay, I don't want someone to challenge. Like, no, I don't want to be challenged. I want to be treated like a princess. What do you mean? And that's pretty much my thoughts on Fourth Wing. Okay, I am slightly tempted to read the next one just because it does end on a cliffhanger. And I'm just like, I wonder how that would go. How that's gonna go, you know? So let me know down in the comments what you think. And I hope y'all have a great day.